Bubba Ho-Tep is a 2002 horror comedy about an 80-year-old Elvis Presley fighting an ancient Egyptian mummy dressed as a cowboy in a nursing home. Immediately, if you can't get behind this premise, you're not going to enjoy the movie. If the director had made one misstep, this would be the worst piece of shit imaginable. But thanks to proper direction and commitment, this movie is easily on par with The Evil Dead. Speaking of Evil Dead, Bruce Campbell's performance is what makes the movie. That's not to say the other actors are bad. In fact, Ella Davis plays a snarky nurse that is always a joy to watch on screen, but Bruce Campbell is the only one to really commit to the bit. He plays the most delightfully stereotypical Elvis possible. Campbell's Elvis doesn't talk like a normal person. Instead of comparing the size of a bug to his fist, he has to compare it to a peanut butter and banana sandwich. Instead of any action movie one-liners, he just says TCB. And he can't seem to say thank you without adding an additional thank you very much. The movie is just full of classic Elvis catchphrases. What's interesting about Campbell's character is you never really know if he's the actual Elvis or just an Elvis impersonator. It's actually proposed pretty early in the movie that Elvis is actually just an Elvis impersonator by the name of Sebastian Haff. Sebastian got into a hip gyration accident, which both injured his hip and made him fall into a long coma. Because of this coma, the nursing staff all thinks he's just a crazy old man. It doesn't help that the only person who believes him is his best friend Jack, as played by Ozzie Davis. Jack believes that he's actually John F. Kennedy. After the doctors patched up his bullet wounds, they dyed his skin black and left him in a nursing home on the order of Lyndon Baines Johnson. Ozzie does a great job with his character, but he doesn't play it with the same zeal as Bruce Campbell playing Elvis. Which means, unfortunately, no, you don't get to hear Ozzie Davis's best JFK impression. Regardless, the true comedy of this movie is the way the characters treat the threats as completely serious. While the audience knows how ridiculous the premise, the characters, and even the threat are, the characters exist in a world where a mummy that sucks your soul out of your asshole is a real concern. A lesser comedy film would have the characters constantly mugging to the audience, letting the audience know that, hey, even they know how ridiculous the movie is. Bubba Ho-Tep is comedy gold because it takes itself completely seriously. Obviously, there are flaws with every movie, and Bubba Ho-Tep is no exception. Most of the characters aren't fleshed out. In fact, there are only 4 named characters in the film. The makeup for Campbell and the Mummy were impressive for the time, but they're starting to show their age now 20 years later. And finally, the soundtrack. The whole soundtrack is blues guitar, which is fun to listen to, but there's not enough variety to the point where the entire album sounds like one giant song. Regardless, Bubba Ho-Tep is one of the best movies in the horror comedy genre, and I would recommend it to anyone who wants to have a fun evening with their friends on a Saturday night. Bubba Ho-Tep is just one of those movies that you have to show to your friends. The second they hear Elvis complain about his dick blister, they know they'll be in for a good time.